Picture this scene. The sun is just rising and casting its warming beams across a frost-covered ground. You are frozen in place, concealed by your blind as animals seem to surround you. I'm Gunnar Solinger, and I'm going to be sharing some knowledge about bow hunting. With the right information and knowledge, you can experience the joys of a productive bow hunt and can better know how to avoid the struggles of a hunt gone wrong. Today I'll be talking about three main points. First being setup required for a productive bow hunt. The second, the equipment needed. Third, the act of taking a shot. Following numerous successful hunting seasons, I have learned through trial and error. I hope that you can gain pertinent information pertaining to bow hunting from my speech. First topic I will be sharing about is a setup for a bow hunt. Adequate time and thought needs to be put into a productive bow hunting setup. Location, location, location. I can't stress that enough. You've got two options. You can either be in a ground blind, which is directly on the ground, eye level with the animals, or you can be in a tower blind that's above the animals, which you can make it however tall you want it. You could also be in a tree stand, which puts you in an actual tree that they're used to seeing, that's been there however long. And as far as a ground blind goes, you can buy a pop-up type blind, which is kind of like a tent, but it's movable. You can set it here one day and set it in another place the next day. You could also just cut some limbs and put some limbs up beside a tree and sit behind the limbs. You can sit directly underneath the tree without any kind of brush. Just use what's naturally there. It's kind of however you would like to do it and whatever you find to be productive. You've also, when setting up in a ground blind or in a tower blind or in a tree, you've got to think about how you're going to draw your bow back. You've got to make sure you have enough room in the actual enclosement to draw your bow. With the planning of a setup complete, you'll need to focus in on your equipment. Solid and reliable equipment will be needed to have a productive bow hunt. Bill Wink is an avid archer, and he's got an article in Peterson's Bow Hunting, and he talks about numerous bows, different makes, different models, different speeds, this would be an excellent article if you're interested in buying your own bow and getting into it. He has some good information. I shoot a Bowtech bow, compound bow. It's just what I like and what I use. And with the equipment, you've got the actual bow that you've got to decide on. You've got arrows. There's all kinds of different arrows. This is a carbon arrow. I shoot a carbon arrow. They've got different kinds with different vanes to make it spin faster, make it shoot a flatter trajectory. And you've got different broadheads. You've got the practice points that you actually shoot at your target when you're sighting in your bow and when you're just practicing in the backyard and wherever else. And then you've actually got the broadheads. These are actually used to shoot the animal with that you're trying to harvest. And they make all kinds of different broadheads. It's kind of whatever you want to use and whatever you want to spend your money on. You've also got to think about the release that you're actually strapping onto your wrist that attaches to the bow string when you're drawing back. They make different kinds. You can even just shoot with your fingers, straight off your fingers. And that's kind of something that you practice with and learn on your own. And in another bow hunting magazine called Bow Hunter, this is another subscription that I have. It has an article in the 2010 issue talking about different releases, and you can read about that and learn almost anything you want to know about a release. And now that you kind of know a little bit about the setup and just the very tip of the equipment, let's move on to the actual shot. Taking the shot can be the toughest part of the whole bow hunting experience. One of the things that you got to think about is the surrounding animals. You can't just focus in on the one animal that you're wanting to shoot, because there's more than likely going to be other animals there that will be looking and listening and smelling trying to detect if there's predators around. And so in deer and deer hunting, there's an article about rutting bucks and how when deer are in rut, which is breeding season for deer, the bucks are more focused in on the does, and so it's easier to actually harvest a buck during that time because their focus is more on the doe. And so with that article, you can kind of think about and learn about how a doe is going to react and what she's thinking, and how you can plan around what she's going to do. Also, the angle of your target. If the animal is walking away from you, directly away from you, parallel to you, or directly at you, you've got to think about where their vitals are and where you want your actual shot to go. And that is very important with bow hunting, because it is bow and arrow. You've got to make a good shot to have a clean kill. You've got to think about the concealment of your draw, because if you try to draw really quick, the animals may catch that movement and spook and run off, and then you can't make your shot. And going back to setup, you've got to make sure you're not going to hit anything when you're drawing back that's going to make noise, or when you pick your bow up or anything else, that you don't knock something down and make noise and the animals detect you. And also, the very end of the release, when you're just about to shoot the animal, that's when my heart starts pounding, that's when I get nervous, that's when I get shaky. That's one of the most important times, and you've got to think about that. You've got to concentrate on where you're going to shoot and where you want to hit the animal. And another article out of the Bow Hunting Magazine talks about the actual shot placement and right as you're going to release the arrow. So with this information and knowledge, you can better be prepared to experience the joys of a productive bow hunt, and can better know how to avoid the struggles of a hunt gone wrong. I hope this speech has given you an interest in bow hunting and informed you of the knowledge needed to have a successful bow hunt. Thank you.